Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Rise Up Voices from the Frontline. It's a behind the badge edition when rescuers need rescuing. So, my name is Krista Fee, and I'm the Executive Director of Battle to Be and Rise Up Phoenix Trauma and Crisis Institute. And today we're talking about something that really doesn't get enough airtime. What happens when the person who always shows up for everybody else quietly begins to fall apart? This episode is called Behind the Badge because while the uniform might be visible, what's happening underneath often isn't. And for so many responders, the very people tasked with protecting us, there is a hidden crisis of trauma, emotional exhaustion, and isolation. The unseen weight. I invite you to pause and really take this in. Responders are trained to run into danger, make life or death decisions, hold the weight of human suffering, and then return home like it never even happened. That doesn't just ask for strength, that demands suppression. Over time, the cumulative trauma adds up. It lives in the body, hijacks the nervous system, shows up in irritability, numbness, insomnia, substance abuse, hypervigilance, and for some, total emotional shutdown. And here's the hard truth. In a culture where performance is prioritized over processing, many responders are silently drowning. I worked with a firefighter who said, "People thank me for saving lives, but they don't know how many ghosts I carry." Let's talk about the neurobiology of rescue fatigue. When someone lives in repeated high-stress activation without adequate recovery, their nervous system begins to rewire. The sympathetic system stays chronically activated. The dorsal vagal shutdown starts to creep in. We need ventral vagal connection to feel safe, calm, and connected. But for responders, those neural pathways often become underused. Not because they're broken, but because the job conditions don't create safe space to access them. This is especially true for responders with trauma histories of their own, which is far more common than you might think. The cost of wearing the mask. The mask of invulnerability may feel like part of the job, but over time it creates emotional corrosion. Your relationships suffer, health declines, purpose feels dulled. It's a numbing. A responder once told me, "I never learned how to be present at home. My body shows up, but I don't land there." I invite you to consider what might shift if we created a culture where responders were expected to need support, not punished for it. We don't need to fix them. We need to create spaces where they can take the armor off without fear of being shamed, sidelined, or seen as weak. This starts at the peer level, and it continues with trauma-informed training. It requires leadership modeling vulnerability, and it ends with responders knowing that their lives matter too. How Battle to Be and Rise Up crisis pods help responders. Our crisis pods don't just serve the public, they're designated with responders in mind too. Every pod includes wellness tools and grounding kits for on-scene regulation, information on moral injury and emotional triage, access to peer mentors and mental health professionals, crisis support materials for families of our responders. And we want every responder to know that when the adrenaline fades, support is still here. You don't have to collapse in silence. And for those seeking deeper long-term healing, growth, and reintegration, we invite you to join our Rise Up Responders community. Inside, you will find specific resources just for you, ongoing access to trauma-informed courses and support tools, connection with other responders through our peer groups, and coaching, consulting, and mentorship, training on burnout, emotional regulation, family resilience, post-traumatic growth, finances, everything that you need for life mastery. tools for building long-term mental wellness, and that ever ignored and important term, life mastery. It's not just about mental health. It's about life mastery for you. You don't just deserve recovery. You deserve resilience that lasts, and you deserve happiness. So if you are a responder, I invite you to remember being impacted by what you witness is not weakness. It's human. And if you love a responder, I invite you to speak their name into rooms where healing lives. Remind them they're more than what they do. And if you feel moved to help, we're raising $50,000 to equip our crisis pods for this disaster season in Texas, Chicago, and beyond. Every dollar builds a bridge, every donation creates breathing room, and every act of care says you don't have to carry this alone. Donate at battle2be.org, BATTLE, the number 2BE.org, or share this episode with someone who serves. Thank you again for being with us today on this episode of Rise Up, Voices from the Frontlines.